Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Club's Halloween edition. As you can tell, I am already joined by one very scary person, and this is what's best about Halloween is that someone like Suhail, for example, he doesn't even need to be in costume. It's just who he is.
I'm glad you
So
copied my line.
so Suhail, welcome to the Halloween special. So we're
So
really
this
going
is
to this week we're going to keep it light and we're going to talk about some of the things that scared us in the news headlines. One of them, of course, was the Mohammed Shami trolling incident, right? And the thing with Mohammed Shami trolling was I went on was it Monday? I went on Monday on Republic where I actually got time to speak. So thank you, Anab. And he revealed the Republic did a expose on this, and it was revealed that this trend of trolling Shami started out of Pakistan handles. And once they started off out of Pakistan handles, of course, our useful idiots picked it up, and it went viral, and then there was all this statement and people who are calling for condemnation and things like that. Now, I just want to add something here. Shami, apart from Virat Kohli, is really one of the guys who's trolled a lot on the Indian cricket team. Now, interestingly, he's usually trolled by co-religionists. People who have a problem with maybe his wife is wearing, her arms are exposed or some stuff like that, and they get after him and like try and teach him chapter and this, of course, was projected as trolling that was coming from the majoritarian sentiment that is running amok in this country, to quote the detractors. But what the Republic expose revealed, Sohail, was that all of this started with Pakistan and was very much a part of psychops, and we ran with it here. And of course, all the virtue signaling, and I think Kohli also 2 days ago uh, gave some sort of statement saying condemning it after the expose. So over to you.
See, I generally believe that Pakistan has for a very long time been a failed state. They have nothing to do. When someone has nothing to do, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. When all this happened, and Arnab spoke to me also, and he said, that would you come on the show? But I was busy that evening with something I can't remember. And I told him, I said, see, the whole thing is that the more credence you give and the more you discuss these people, the braver they get. But essentially, they are bullies. Now, someone on the chat has just told me I shouldn't be smoking. I agree. But I'm
Yeah,
58. If I needed that kind of advice, I would have done it earlier. Okay. But you're right. It's a very bad habit. Now we can continue. So,
please don't
to come
smoke.
back, yeah, I'm not actually. To come back, see, wasting a cigarette is also very expensive. So, to come back to the point, I genuinely believe that Pakistan should not be taken seriously. The scoundrels in Pakistan have no relevance. They seek relevance by irritating us. We are stupid enough to get irritated. They want to divide India because, they are a product of a division, which is unfortunate. And I don't think everyone in Pakistan behaves that way. It is the establishment. Imran Khan is looking stupider and stupider every day. That's if you can look that stupid itself. And the ISI we've known for years. It's an organization which believes in fomenting trouble. They're not an organization which believes in harmony. It's called the inter-services, whatever. But the point is that they're a bunch of rascals. So the more power, the more credence you give to them, the more emboldened they feel, as if they're actually making a difference. But they're not making a difference. People in India recognize the fact that Mohammed Shamim, even the trolling that happened, it was established that the trolling happened across the border. Now, how stupid are those people to troll a fellow Muslim on grounds of, oh, Islam khatre mein hai? So I think this whole thing is a bit ridiculous. I think we in
What
India should be bothered about
do you
serious
say about
issues.
amplification?
Huh?
What do you call the amplification?
Why
Fired
don't why
by
don't you gift
Lutyens Media.
yourself a proper audio system on Halloween? Your audio system is like Pakistan; it continues to fail.
It's
हाँ
perfectly
बेटा
fine. No one is complaining. None of my viewers are complaining except for you. That's it. Only you. You're the only one who's complaining. But that's because you don't want to listen. Now, if you listen to me, I'm saying, why do you feel the Lutyens media, since you know them so well, why do they go fall for this hook, line, and sinker and amplify it and chest thump and do
because
all of those things?
because because many in the Lutyens media have been forced into irrelevance by Narendra Modi and his people. So they are also seeking relevance. Look, understand the landscape. There was a time when these women and men would say, "Oh, we have appointed a cabinet minister, we have appointed this, we have appointed this." Today, they can't even appoint their own gardener. Earlier, they would go on Air India One. Today they can't even travel on a Shatabdi. So, when you're forced into that level of irrelevance, you try and clutch on the last straws of relevance. So, you play into the hands of people who are actually interested in a divisive and a divided India. You play into the hands of people who want a narrative to say, "Oh, Bharat mein sab khatre mein hai." And that is the kind of thing that I think it's is tragic. So I
So,
would give the same advice. Ignore the Lutyens media as much as you would ignore the stupid people in Pakistan and a lot of stupid people in our country as well.
but then see the thing is that then you're actually when the BJP and its supporters say that you're being anti-national in a situation like this where this is a Pakistan generated trolling psychops operation, by supporting it, by amplifying it, by suddenly writing in international publications, you are being anti-national, aren't you?
I'm also a bit tired of this anti national debate. We in India are a civilizational legacy. We are not going to be threatened by three or four or even 5,000 stupid people tweeting. To suggest that Twitter is changing the dynamics of our civilizational legacy or of our history or of our people or of our aspirations or of our achievement is silly. I think, what is more important is to realize who you are. If you are confident of your own ability, your capabilities, your place in the comity of nations, your place now at the high table of the world, why should we bother about what people say? India is like the caravan. The caravan keeps, moving and dogs keep barking. The caravan doesn't stop every time a dog barks. So imagine that these are barking dogs and let them be.
That's so true. I think part part of the whole issue is, oh my god,
Oh my God.
Hello.
it really feels like Halloween
Yo.
now. You bitching about my mic, guys. This is the most expensive mic in the market, okay? And I bought it. It's still not working. But Abhijit, is that Abhijit? He knows what we did last summer. Sohail, what did you do this summer? I was home.
I didn't do anything this summer. I was at home. Actually, I was traveling
You were
and I was far
traveling,
away
yeah.
from you.
Unlike us.
Huh?
Unlike us, you were all over the world.
Yeah, as I should be. I mean, you have to conduct a Sunday club. We don't have to. Abhijit is
I
busy changing the world with his intellectual prowess. You're busy changing our audio dynamics with terrible audio. So that's how we live.
Do you hear that gurgling sound? Can you
Yeah,
hear
that's
it?
it.
That's
That's
the
it.
sound of you when I'm done with all of you.
Oh, someone is saying last summer I was meeting Modi ji at Lok Kalyan Marg. I wish. I've never met him. You know that? Guys, do you know I've never met Prime Minister Modi?
Yeah, why should he
Someone,
meet
Yes,
you?
I
But
think
why
when
should he
you
meet you?
do all your the grudge appearances here, like bad lighting and bad audio kind of appearances, he might be very scared because the office would say ye kaun vetal aa gaya.
And plus, what is your contribution to the India story that the Prime Minister of India should meet you? He's meeting
I'm
Yeah.
Akshay Kumar,
meeting up.
he's meeting Priyanka Chopra, he's meeting Rakesh Jhanwala, he's meeting people who matter. Why would he meet you, who's an author and a screenwriter? There are more authors and screenwriters in India than there are traffic lights.
I should tell you
Yeah.
one thing. Do you think Prime Minister watches the Sunday Club?
Are you mad?
No.
I would be very disappointed if he did. That means he had really no work. I mean, the guys who are watching, I feel bad for them too.
I was just
You tell
just
me, India is playing New Zealand. Not that I watch cricket ever. I'm no
I don't
fan.
watch.
But when all these things are happening, why would someone watch the Sunday Club? Abhijit and I watch it because we are on it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people don't watch it because you know what does it do? And we are paid by you. You give us some rotten cheese and all that stuff. That's why we make an appearance. And it's between like our shower and going out. So it's 1 hour where you suspend all cerebral prowess and banter around with you and make you feel good.
Beti bachao, beti badhao. I'm glad that you two are living up to that slogan. I think you must be commended for that.
And the chap who invented the
Absolutely.
slogan, he hasn't found the time to meet you. Why are you blaming us?
Yeah.
I,
इसके
I
हमारा
am
क्या
just
लेना
saying,
देना
I was
भाई?
just, my God, I was just responding to the comments by our viewers.
Again,
But
don't
listen,
respond
why?
to every comment. You be the
I have,
caravan.
I have a question. I have a question. Why is Virat Kohli pretty much? I think in my memory the most unpopular captain, or is it a consequence of social media? Do you think others will also have their days? And I just feel
Because
like
he's the
there's
most
so much
commercialized captain. I guess
commercialized.
he became the most commercialized captain because IPL and things commercialized cricket in a way they'd never been commercial. I mean, they were commercial, but the sheer volume of money and things you're talking about, it's never been greater. And the problem is, you look at America, the way NBA viewership is dropping, or both baseball and basketball viewership, the associations are dropping very rapidly. More so more so the NBA than the other one. After they started taking the knee, because the moment, see, as long as you run a commerce for the sake of commerce, it's fine. The moment you bring politics into it, politics polarize. And the moment you've gotten into that political polarization, you're no longer seen as a sports star. When you start getting into social issues because you think you are so, untouchable and an antaryami, trilokdarshi, whatever you are, that's when the fall begins. So this is the classic thing.
Even that whole thing that I will tell you how to celebrate Diwali meaningfully and all, that got major
And you have to
backlash
delete
from
that
people.
post. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is also happening is it's people like you, Advaita, who are responsible for this state of affairs. Now, celebrities who have no bloody business
Oh God.
in advising people on how they live or how they work or how they play are now falling into this whole trap. Everyone wants to become the pontifex and to pontificate. Everyone believes that they are woke enough to give suggestions to an entire population. I I criticized the Calcutta High Court's judgment saying that the
Yeah.
days courts start now determining when and how we celebrate our festivals, when midnight mass will be held, we're over. The desire for everyone to poke their nose into things that don't matter is becoming more and more tenuous. And because it's social media, you ask the guy on the street who's not on Twitter, he doesn't give a damn. So I'm saying you give them more credence, you give them more bhav by saying, but see what Virat Kohli has said about Diwali. Who the hell cares? A, B, why should he say it? Now, Deepika Padukone had serious issues qua mental health. She can speak on mental health. Now, everyone in Bollywood is speaking on mental health. Everyone in Bollywood is telling you how to celebrate Diwali. Everyone in Bollywood is saying, you must pay your taxes. For God's sake, we're not a nanny state that has to be guided by a bunch of celebrities who, in any case, do whatever they want. They endorse any kind of brand which perpetrates or perpetuates any taboo. So it's all right for you all to support fairness creams and all that kind of nonsense, and then lecture, give us moral science lessons, which to my mind is not only hypocritical, it is so unnecessary. Stick to the knitting. You're in the business of playing cricket. Your business is to play cricket, win matches for India. Your business is not to tell me or anyone how to celebrate Diwali, how to celebrate Lokhi Pujo, how to celebrate Christmas. But it's the media which then amplifies it. The fact that we are discussing it means you amplify it. You're responsible.
Because because we mentioned how when we started, you mentioned how Abhijit's tweet right now, where he's wishing all kinds of things. Abhijit, do you want to explain your tweet?
No, I'm very clear. It's not the Indian team, it's the BCCI team. I don't like them. I've never liked cricket. Ever since I was a kid, I've hated the Indian cricket team because it meant I didn't have friends to play with and things like that. So I've always hoped that they lose every match, and I'm hoping they lose every match this time as well. A bunch of bad body.
Yes, Abhijit, you were just getting into the flow of things. Abhijit, why is he gone silent suddenly?
You see, Advaita, if I give you money and if I give you a platform, you're capable of giving me a lecture on India's nuclear science program. How does it matter? Someone is writing the script for you. You're just saying it. So I have no issues with who plays what sport. I have no issues with people having a view, but I do have issues when the view is almost akin to a sermon. That's my worry. As if we are all wrong in India. You're the only person who's the moral compass and the values guardian of India. That's my worry.
Yeah. And as a
Look,
couple,
I have an issue with all celebrities who espouse causes. Once upon a time, I think people have forgotten how amazing marketing used to be. I think Suhail is the one to speak about this. Because, in a sense, I forget which ad it was. Was it the Unilever or Hindustan Lever? There was some very famous ad that Lata Mangeshkar appeared on, and it catapulted her career to the next level or something like that. This used to be a case study somewhere. Was it Lata Mangeshkar or Asha Bhosle or something like that? I forget what it was. Today, people don't realize that their brand value actually comes down, that you've got nothing to offer other than a celebrity dancing on screen for you. What is your product? If your product can't stand for itself and it needs some bloody dance boy from Bollywood or some, gymnastically enabled monkey from the cricket field to have to speak for it, what does a gymnastically enabled cricket monkey have to do with an insurance product? What does it have to do with Sprite or Coca-Cola?
And if you have to, as Abhijit says, then you stick to the cause. What did Marlon Brando do when he won the Oscar for Godfather? He got a native Indian girl who read out a statement at the Oscar ceremony where he said that this is what we are doing to native Indians in America, and I'm refusing the Oscar. How many of us actually, in our country have celebrities who stay the course for a particular cause?
Yeah.
And a cause that is relevant to the poorest of the poor? Firecrackers. Have these people gone nuts? How many of us can afford firecrackers? Very few. But by banning firecrackers, you are destroying an entire industry which makes money only in 3 months. You are actually destroying 5 lakh homes because you have put a blanket ban on firecrackers. Arvind Kejriwal many years ago, just a month before Diwali, got firecrackers banned. People who had indented, people who had paid, both sides lost money. So my point is, I have no issues with the law, but the law cannot be selective. Plus, as I said, let these celebrities actually deal with issues that concern the poorest of the poor. That they won't do. How many of them they will all donate to the PM Cares Fund and the Prime Minister's this relief fund and that fund. They will go and hand out 1 crore checks. How many of them actually, like Angelina Jolie, go to landmine infested areas and actually work there? How many of them go and look at adoption as a serious issue? So these are serious issues. What the pandemic has done, post the pandemic, we've got labor shortages, but we've also got economic disaster wreaked on us. Has anyone helped with that? No. Has anyone talked about that? No. And the other thing is, people blame Modi. Under successive governments, the voice of Bollywood has been silent and therefore complicit. Very few actually speak up. And when they speak up, they are also trolled. So my point is, and on a very serious note, Advaita, you can be a causerati rather than chatterati, or you can actually be a believer. The time has come for these celebrities to be believers. If they can't be believers, they should just shut up.
And mind you, the
And,
other thing is the sheer disingenuity. The sheer disingenuity of these people, that they don't even know the causes that they are fighting for. Imagine that girl Greta Thunberg coming and supporting the biggest single cause of pollution in North India ever. Right? Imagine a fellow like Farhan Akhtar coming out and being caught on TV saying, मैं नहीं जानता क्या है, पर सब बोल रहे होंगे तो कुछ होगा. ये कहाँ की बात है भाई? You don't even know the subjects you're talking about, but you will pelofy gyan on everything.
yeah.
You ask Abhijit, he must be getting offers. I'm repeatedly told, Advaita, and I put my hand on my heart and tell you, I'm repeatedly told, because I have 4.7 million followers on Twitter, will you tweet this and we will pay you X amount. I can tell you, from Lutyens media people to celebrities, all of them take this goddamn money. To my mind, it's blood money. Instagram is a completely different story. People like my friends will say, oh, we are sending you this dish or this thing. Will you tweet about it or will you? I always say there that this is paid for. Means paid for by me. Do we have that level of transparency from these celebrities? We don't. We don't know.
No.
Instagram is saying, oh, you have to write paid partnership. Point I'm making, Advaita, is the level of hypocrisy has increased with social media amplification.
And mind you,
Also, I mean,
every
you
time,
may not
I just want to make this clear since this point has been raised. Every time I write something about food or whatever, I'm doing it because I like the food.
Correct.
I keep getting asked for all these things. Will you tweet this? Will you Instagram this? Or all of that nonsense. I just say, boss, no. Even if it comes from a friend, my standard reply is, bhai, tu mere ko bhej. मैं उसका पैसा दूंगा. I will order it off Zomato.
Correct.
And I will eat it. If I like it, if I don't like it and you're not my friend, I'm going to slam it. But if I don't like it and you're my friend, I'm not going to post anything about it. If I like it, then I will tweet about it, which I'm going to do for any restaurant, you're a friend or not a friend. Because, I can't in good conscience go around saying this is a fantastic restaurant when it was absolute rubbish just because the owner is my friend.
No, also, I think,
what Abhijit just said. No, 1 minute. Yeah, you're not letting anyone speak.
Oh, yeah.
What Abhijit has said is it's very important. I want to draw your attention to something that happened when the Indian cricket team kneeled for Black Lives Matter. Has anyone in the sporting arena knelt for various important landmark events that happened in India which were of a disastrous nature? For instance, did they kneel for Kashmiri Pandits and that exodus? Did they kneel for what's happening to Hindus in Bangladesh, or what happened to Hindus in Bengal, or what happened to Muslims, let's say, in UP? The point I'm making, Advaita, is how relevant do you come across when you are talking about Black Lives Matter in Dubai, which is, by the way, not the arbiter of social justice in any case. You are in one emirate of the UAE, kneeling before a global audience that watches cricket and talking about Black lives. That was the time to highlight the plight of whichever other community which is relevant in India. I'm not saying only Hindus or only Muslims.
Or
For all these
even
years, For all these years, you had Bishan Singh Bedi, who I love. You had all these cricketers. Bishan used to speak out. How many of the cricketers spoke out against the Sikh program which happened post October 31, post today, many, many years, 1984? So you then willy nilly come across as gimmicky. You come across as someone who's playing the game rather than who actually believes in the cause. That's my worry.
No, no, it's there is a huge this thing to be case to be made, and that's really one of the things that I was very keen on discussing was this whole taking the knee for Black Lives Matters, and I feel that when you're playing a tournament in which you have Afghanistan that has gone through such a traumatic time in the very recent past, and its cricketers are truly courageous to be out on that field and playing, and even playing well, and I mean, showing their spirit. I think you take a knee for Afghanistan. Forget anything else.
Very right.
Yeah.
Nation. I think you owe that solidarity to another cricketing nation that has gone through such a traumatic time just months ago.
In fact, Advaita, what you have said is actually worth $1,000,000. And I'm glad you said it. Where you sit from, the pulpit of opinion making and opinion formation, you more than anyone else knows how public opinion can be shaped through either a false narrative or through a correct narrative. You being an author and a screenwriter, and here I'm saying this with grave seriousness, I'm not fooling around. You have, as an author and a screenwriter, also shaped opinions because you've shaped the entertainment narrative. You know that it's very easy to create a narrative that is divisive, that is toxic, versus a narrative that is fair and just. The point I'm making is very few people want to intervene because there is such an overhang of the celebrity dumb that you say, oh my God, I don't want to get into this. Let them do whatever they can. But if right-minded individuals, and I'm not talking about individuals who are on any divide, I'm not saying right-wing, left-wing, left liberals, all that rubbish. I'm saying an average Indian must be able to make a considered view or have a considered view on what is happening qua his country.
Yeah.
Cricket is almost religion like in India, like cinema is. So when cricket is a religion, your gods can't have feet of clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot riding on that. I'm not even talking about the money. I'm talking about the aspirations, the hope, the joys, the sorrow. So that's where, I think we need a bit of recalibration and we need to pause and course correct.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, Ratna Pathak Shah said something very interesting because we have been talking about influencers. She said, the star system is coming to an end in B-Town or Bollywood, and she couldn't be happier because for a long time, and this I say as somebody who works in the industry, is that it's a very star-driven system. What has happened with COVID, of course, has been the rise of OTT and films not opening in theaters, so there were new stars were born, so to speak. The increase in the democratization of social media, we usually look at it from a news perspective, but like Abhijit highlighted, getting calls to promote this, promote that. This wouldn't have happened 5-10 years ago. People would have gone to that one food writer who writes in some newspaper and really not come down to influencers. So I think with the advent of the influencer as well, the star system or the celebrity system is going through a recalibration. Sohail, you've been an ad man, you've been into brand management, perception management. Today, back in the day, your go-to people would be cricketers, actors, those kind of people. Today, even on YouTube, I see so many ads for brands done by influencers, not necessarily famous people, and anybody influencer. So that democratization has really taken over.
So 3 or 4 things have happened. In my entire career in advertising and marketing, I've been the only person in the industry who has always decried the use of celebrities in advertising for brand endorsement. My logic is, if your brand is good, see, ultimately brands are about benefits. You don't buy Surf, you buy the whitest wash. You don't buy a Rolex, you buy a badgification which helps you see the time. What was happening was, over time, these celebrities were far and few between. Sachin Tendulkar at one time was endorsing MRF tires as also, hosiery products and all kinds of stuff. You never knew what he actually stood for. And this continued. So you had cricketers, and as you rightly said, film actors, and film actors across, not just Bollywood, but across India. I remember working with Ram Ray on the Borolene ads, and for the first time we changed the narrative, and I said we will not have a single cinema actor. I did the same with Asian Paints, where the emotion was the story. Piyush did that with Cadbury's. Kuch khas ho jaye.
Khas hai. Such a lovely ad.
So what we did was we changed the narrative. I launched Harvest Gold in India, and the line was Bakwas advertising first class bread, and it was limericks which ran every Friday. So point I'm making is, if the brand is good, you don't need celebrities. Now what has started happening is, as you very rightly said, we are now faced with a dilemma. These stars are now doing multitudes of endorsements. They help no brand. The cost of a star endorsing a brand. Let me give you ballpark figures. Let's say I'm Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar will charge you anywhere between 8 to 10 crores per year, for which he will give you 2 days plus one. 2 days of shooting plus 1 day of any conference or attending a dealer meet, blah, blah, blah. In 2 days, you have to shoot the commercial. The commercial's cost is anywhere between 3 to 4 crores. So, to get Akshay Kumar, I'm paying 11 crores. Correct? Now, I have to run that goddamn commercial on television. I have to run that commercial in cinema halls. I have to run that commercial digitally. Can you imagine if I didn't pay Akshay Kumar 11.5 crores and I had a compelling story and I ran that story as an ad in all my... I would get almost 30 to 40% more of media spend. That means my reach to my potential consumer audience would be far higher. People don't understand. I call it the lazy marketeer's, love. A lazy marketer says, oh, let him endorse the brand. Now what we are seeing is, as you said, with the OTT, with everything, I have my own hero. My hero could be a little girl who sings so well, or it could be an old Sardarji who recites amazing poetry in Urdu. So we are now choosing our own stars. So we don't need one celebrity who is like universal. Therefore, their importance and their pricing should alter. Sadly, it hasn't still, but it will over time.
But I have to make a point here, and I'm sorry to say this, Suhail, but I think the entire marketing industry has become absolute shit.
Absolutely.
I remember going, I don't own a TV, but when I went to this friend's place, there was an ad for buy a Godrej safe and win a chance to meet Akshay Kumar. And I'm thinking, how does this product placement even work? I mean, it's okay buying a lollipop or a ice cream stick, which, you'll go out and... But how many people are in the market for a safe who also want to meet Akshay Kumar and buy their house safe, the electronic house safe, based on the prospect of meeting Akshay Kumar?
Absolutely. There's zero logic.
And here's the issue. You go into all these things. I remember once upon a time in Madras, when we used to go to O&M or people like that, you used to get some fantastic people. These days, if anybody's in marketing, you go talk to them, they're a bunch of brain jackasses.
I'm so glad you mentioned this. I'm sorry that we are digressing into a marketing discussion. In our days, and my days continue, we treated clients as equals. Today, if the client says jump, you only ask how high. Why? Because we had the confidence of our work, we had the confidence of our integrity, and we had the confidence in our advice. Today, nothing of the sort. A. B. Why did I leave advertising and start my own consulting firm in marketing? Because advertising has gotten even worse. In the good old days, advertising, men and women, were always seen to be smarter than their counterparts in the client organization.
Exactly.
Today, that has also changed. Plus, I hate to say this, the vernacularization of the industry. People do not know the difference between using the vernacular for an ad and vernacularizing an entire industry. And by that, I'm saying is then you're looking at the lowest common denominator and not paying market value. When you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So the whole narrative has changed. The whole idiom of marketing has changed. I mean, Abhijit knows, you know me. I don't, brook any nonsense from any client, and neither should the client brook it from me. But it's an equal relationship. I don't have a relationship where I'm, subservient to the client. But a lot of people are willing to be subservient in order to continue to get their retainers or to retain their contracts. And that we are seeing across. The fear of losing money has become so important that you're willing to sacrifice your advice or the quality of your advice.
And recently there's been some outrage over a couple of ads. There was specifically Fab India, wherein Jashan-e-Riwaz was something that caused a lot of offense, and there was this outrage over that. Then there was the Sabyasachi Mangal Sutra ad, wherein there was this intimate photograph and the Mangal Sutra and all of that. So then there's the parallel narrative which says that this is economic terrorism. You outrage against these ads, and suddenly people are like companies are compelled to take them down, etc., etc. On the
Bhai
other hand,
ek second.
Then you had Bachchan return the signing amount for some, I guess, mouth freshener gutka type of thing. I don't know what it was, but there was outrage, and he said, "Okay, I won't do this ad." So now Abhijit, go ahead, all yours.
So all these buggers talking about economic terrorism, these are the bloody clowns in the press who thought that Nihang's chopping off an arm is protest, that students blocking an entire bloody arterial in Delhi is a protest, that these farmers blocking off Delhi roads for ages on end is a protest, but somehow running a boycott campaign is economic terrorism. Arey, kahan ke hai? What kind of cranial rectal inversion have they got? And as cranial rectal inversion goes, this is, I'm sorry, but it's a very tiny cranium and an extremely large rectum. I don't know what it's been enlarged with, probably prized jackfruit from the depths of the Sumatran rainforest.
Is this your own syndrome? Is this a syndrome that you have coined?
Yes, I am the medical practitioner that's coined this syndrome. It's an actual medical syndrome. But see, the problem here is कि ये लोग पता नहीं क्या-क्या बकवास. Look, I don't support this case that's been filed against Sabyasachi for that Mangal Sutra thing. I maybe have an issue with the de-Hinduization of Hindu festivals. So Shefali Vaidya, for example, is running a campaign saying no bindi, no business. And I do support that in a sense. My thing is, people should be free to run the advertisement campaigns that they want.
Correct.
And people should be free to protest it if they don't like.
Correct.
And it's a negotiating process between the supplier and the demand and supply of what ads sell, what ads don't sell. It's market forces operating. Acha nahi laga. See, if a car keeps failing, if the brake keeps failing, then you have a class action lawsuit. This is a very similar process. I mean, marketing is what? Marketing is reaching out to the public. If you're rubbing a large section of our public the wrong way, then you deserve to go down. It's like those two jokers who run Ben and Jerry's ice cream, who hold forth on everything, but they weren't able to, and they support, pro-choice, but then they weren't able to answer why they're stopping supplies to Israel, but they're not stopping supplies to places like Texas and Florida that have, pro-life laws on abortion.
So as a very finish.
No, I'm done.
I want to weigh in because I haven't actually spoken on this whole advertising thing, despite many people asking me to, and asking Piyush also. But here's my view. The Sabyasachi ad is a terrible ad in itself. It is terrible in the way it has been created. By protesting against that ad, you're only making that ad more popular. It's a terrible ad. It communicates nothing. If Sabyasachi is communicating the fact that his Mangal Sutra creates heightened sexual activity, there is another way of saying it. If he's saying the Mangal Sutra unites two people in a bond of everlasting love, there could have been another route. He has chosen a route, not he, whoever his agency is, they've chosen a route of shock and awe. Shock and awe was fine when you had Saddam Hussein attacking Kuwait. Today, it's stupid, it's irrelevant. Now, coming to Abhijit's point about decrying a majority religion or the majority or whatever. I've always had one rule in advertising: stay away from three things. Stay away from religion, stay away from politics, and stay away from sex. If you can stay away from these three things, you will never be in trouble as a brand. I'll tell you why. Today, brands appeal and brands enter various media devices in one single home. Enters television, my mobile phone, my digital devices, laptop, iPad, whatever. Radio. Surprisingly, radio continues to be extremely popular. Actually, it's not surprising. Why would I
Yeah.
not use the lowest common denominator in preparing advertising? And why would I create the highest common factor? That's number one. Number two, India is a land of storytellers. We are a civilizational legacy. We have a huge amount of history. We have a huge amount of local and borrowed literature. We have anecdotes. Consumers don't remember slogans, they don't remember abbreviations, they remember stories. You will remember Mera Sur Mile Tumhara,
Yeah.
or Sab Ho Jaye, the one that Piyush and Suresh Malik did. You will remember the Cadbury advertisement, not because of cricket, but because of the spontaneity with which the girl comes out and dances. You will now again remember the Cadbury's ad because there is a Sardar, whereas it's a ladies' cricket team, and the Sardarji comes out and does a jig.
Yeah.
People remember happy things. People don't remember sad things. The tragedy is today's advertising people are equally vacuous. Most of them are dumb, most of them, and they believe that, oh, we must shock. Never shock your consumers into buying your brands.
Correct.
Invent desire, not foster hate. Invent attractiveness and magnetism towards your brand, not, oh, I must force you to buy. And therefore, I think that if we change the idiom of the way we communicate in our country, we'll be a better country.
And just to add very quickly to that, if you remember, I think my all-time favorite Indian ad was the Ericsson one, where that lady who appears in Saas and Siski, she's talking, she's on the phone, and this older gentleman sees her
In the restaurant.
in the restaurant. He comes and sits down, and then she removes the phone, and she's like, she thinks he's the waiter, and she places an order with him. See, that's a memorable ad.
Lalita ji, yaar. What did Lalita ji do?
Hours ago.
But Lalita ji put a finger on everything that Indians are always concerned about. Ki bhai, I'm bargaining. Isi mein samajhdari hai.
Huh.
So I'm saying that those idioms have not changed in India.
Dalda. The Dalda idiom. What was it all about?
I remember there was an ad where this millionaire is looking at a yacht, he's looking at an aircraft, he's looking at, and then in the end he says, "Par deti kitna hai?" Means what is the mileage? That's us. We have to understand consumer behavior. We have to understand consumer insight. India is the only country where the refrigerator has a life of its own. We're the only country where the humble undershirt, the vest, the ganji, when there are 2 holes in the ganji, it becomes a duster. When there are 7 holes in that ganji, then it becomes a mop. I know of many homes that use their refrigerators after they've gone kaput as storage facilities.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to Bajaj and how Bajaj did there with the electricals. Point out, look at Amol, yaar. You don't need to go far. The hatred that these people are spewing just because they want to shock and awe is ridiculous. It is going to harm their brands and it will create more tension.
Absolutely. And
And
I think
you know, one
that's
of the
also old
nicest
hat
modern
now.
ads has been that Havells ad. What was it? It was so simple. It was somebody taking a Havells ka this thing and making a roti sekne wala thing for his mother, who's poor. They're living out on the streets, and so they use some Havells ka this thing to sekofy their rotis. It's such a powerful message. There is no division involved there. There is no politics there. There is nothing out there.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you all more. I think the storytelling aspect has given way to virality, and that virality is the focus, and that should come through any means possible. And that's the definition of what is a successful campaign and what is not a successful campaign. And of course, the prime minister, as we know, is in Rome. He met the Pope yesterday. There were images that were circulated of that meeting, and of course, there were multiple images of his interactions with other world leaders like Biden, Macron. Trudeau was standing in front of him like an errant schoolboy, and then there was Boris Johnson. I just wanted to say that, I wanted to caption one of those images and say, there you have it, Covaxin in action. Because the WHO is sort of dragging its feet on recognizing Covaxin. And I wanted to get your kind of inputs on that.
कौन मैं या सुहेल?
Either of you
Let
both
Abhijit
keep
go first.
talking.
Look, I've written a whole series about this on how crooked and corrupt the entire health ecosystem is. Starting from the WHO and its chief, Dr. Dead. Well, he's Dr. Ted, but we'll call him Dr. Dead. And that Lancet publication, which allowed that Eco Health Alliance fellow to use it as a pulpit for bullying anybody who said the virus started in China, to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that have been, actively putting down solutions that contradict what they have invested in, and pushing solutions that they have first investor advantages in. That is such a completely rotten, incestuous ecosystem. Even the three chaps who were running for the WHO chief, when one of them was getting married on Lake Lucerne or Lake Geneva, I forget which, the other two chaps that were up against him were his best men. So it is a completely incestuous, rotten system. It needs, this Indian habit of, unnecessary subservience to all these crooked, foreign, corrupt organizations. It needs to stop. We need to start using our muscle power now and saying enough is enough. अब करो, नहीं तो फिर क्या होगा तुम देख लो. ठीक है ना? Enough. Covaxin, you have statements coming out of America, everything saying that it is much more effective. Now, look, the owners of Bharat Biotech have screwed up very badly. They didn't time. This is why scientists should not run companies. Okay, there's a reason that humanities runs the sciences and sciences don't run the humanities, because when you're too scientific, you don't understand supply chains and things like that. Okay, they screwed that up. But this is a science decision. Why is it being held up? All the statistics are right there in front of you. Why is it being held up? It is pure and simple corruption. You need to catch some of these WHO doctors and throw them in jail now.
Yeah.
See, I've been traveling a lot, Advaita, as you know. During the pandemic, because of work and other things, I took about 78 flights. So I've really been out there. I think, and on your program, both Abhijit and I were severely critical of the Prime Minister at that time because of oxygen and blah, blah, blah. But when you sit back and count the score, we've done a tremendous job on vaccination. But there are certain realities. Reality number one is that no Indian had a choice for vaccine number one. Why? Because if you chose a particular slot and got an appointment, you got an appointment in a particular place which either had Covaxin or it had Covishield. So it wasn't a choice that you and I made. At that time, we weren't told what the protocols of approval were going to be and what the issues would be with such approvals. We hoped that because there was a global alliance and that emergency use approvals were being given left, right, and center by the CDC, the same would apply to India. It did. What has happened today? Covishield is part of AstraZeneca's technology and scientific temper. They've got the approval. Covaxin doesn't. What does it mean? It means several million Indians are left in the lurch. Those who want to travel for work can't travel. Those who want to travel for education can't travel. Those who want to travel for medical reasons can't travel. You are creating a division of a different kind between the ones who have and the ones who have and are still the have nots.
Yeah.
Here, I would suggest three things. Number one, as the government did beautifully with the United Kingdom and push back on this whole quarantine hypocrisy, we need to do something on that front. Number two, we should have held back voting for Dr. Tedros when his term came up for renewal. We should have put out a global signal saying that we oppose him. Trump sorted this guy out in a minute.
Yeah.
Number three, at the G20, what reports I've heard is that Prime Minister Modi has again pushed for Covaxin. It's not about Covaxin. It's about creating global empathy. Tomorrow, if a vaccine is produced in Nigeria, we cannot be naysayers and say, oh, because it's Nigerian, nothing. You are doubting the efficacy of scientists, again, who have no religion except the religion of academic prowess. So I think we need to be a bit more firm about this. The media needs to continue to focus on this because lives and livelihoods of millions of Indians, who, by the way, had no choice, are today stuck. And I genuinely believe in the efficacy of Covaxin. Not that I have it, I have Covishield, but I generally believe that it's as good as any, and that's what the results have shown. That's what the trials have shown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
On that note, I must take leave, Advaita. As always,
I also have to take leave. I believe I'm going to see you in the next half an hour or so.
Yeah.
You're seeing Sohail,
all the
right?
two of you.
And you. It's been a pleasure knowing you and being on your program, for which I'm eternally grateful. Every day,
Thank
I've
you
now
so
added
much.
one photograph of yours also to my temple. So,
And I really want you all to, continue to, help me edit my Twitter profile, and the editorial work that you do on my Twitter is something that I feel is very useful. And since both of you
absolutely. Since
practically
we have
live
nothing
on
else to do,
Twitter,
we might as well do that.
See,
yeah.
I'm so happy, Advaita, that you acknowledge you're a homophobe and a racist, and anything we can do to reduce your homophobia and your extreme racist, casteist prejudices, we will always handhold you in the process. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging your racism,
Jai Hind,
your
Bharat
casteism,
Mata
and your
ki
bigotry.
jai.
Bharat Mata ki jai. But
And
BCCI
all
team
the
nahi
viewers,
jeetega.
please celebrate Diwali the way you want to. But
Absolutely.
please be
Please.
safe and have a great Diwali. And here's wishing your family and you a very prosperous Deepavali. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat,
And the other
Jai
thing is
Samaj.
also, Arvind Kejriwal saying Jai Shri Ram on national TV every 10 minutes
No,
is
when we're having an
also
intelligent discussion, why do you have to bring in Arvind Kejriwal?
Yes.
because we spoke about ads. It's Halloween. I mean, it
Arey,
all
nahi,
links
we're
up.
ending on a serious note, and here
Yeah.
you bring in your bigotry again. Please
Yeah.
celebrate Diwali any way you damn well want. Nobody can tell you how you celebrate your festivals. You do what's important to you. You do what's
Exactly.
meaningful to you. What is meaningful to you is not meaningful to the next person. You do what suits you. So happy Diwali. Enjoy
You do
yourselves. Have a
you.
blast. And
You do
here's to
you.
hoping,
Yeah, have a great time.
yeah. And here's to hoping the BCCI team loses. Thank you. Tata, bye.
Happy Diwali, everyone. See you all soon. Be kind in the new year. Bye.